the AFC West. KC would like to lock up home field in the divisional round. On a snowy Sunday in Kansas City, the Chiefs defeat the Broncos for the 9th straight time, 23-3. Let's go to James Brown in New York.
All right, so with that victory by Kansas City, we're now going to take it to a tight ball game. Houston at Tennessee. Houston leading by 3, 1:59 left in regulation. Right now, Houston looking to reassert their hold on the AFC South with that lead right now. Let's head out and join the announcers at that game. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson.
Got the Kansas City-Denver audience with us now. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson here in Nashville.
CBS Sports presents the Geico Play of the Day.
Eli Manning, the Giant offense, one more time in the Meadowlands, throws a golden pass across the middle to Mr. Tate. The Dolphins' Nick Needham can't stop him from making an acrobatic catch. Tate continues his golden route to the end zone with a 51-yard score, which may prove to be for Eli a very nice sign-off in New Jersey.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hey, and we welcome everybody back to the State Farm postgame show here on the NFL Today. Full house with Phil, Coach, Nate, and Boomer. And we're going to talk a little bit about that Houston-Tennessee game. And, Nate, last week when they were down 31-3 to Denver and lost that game, what happened today? What was the difference?
Well, they bounced back. They got back to what they know is comfortable within that offense. And Deshaun Watson, he was feeding his pass catchers early. It seemed like they found a good matchup with Kenny Stills and their secondary DBs. A lot of focus on DeAndre Hopkins, along with Will Fuller being back in the lineup. The recipient was Kenny Stills making plays. And also, Carlos Hyde had himself a day.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, it shows you that 1 week in the NFL doesn't mean anything when it comes to talking about the next week in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Houston Texans are a prime example of that. That's a huge win by Bill O'Brien. Last week, he took that game on his own shoulders. He said it was my fault. I didn't have the team ready to go. Maybe the team had a letdown game because they had beaten the Patriots the week before. But this is a great bounce back for them, and they now are in control of the AFC South.
Deshaun Watson had 2 interceptions in a red zone there, but the biggest play of the game was Whitney Merciless. I think that he had in the first half really just turned the game around from that time. It seemed like at that point, Tennessee was kind of fighting an uphill battle.
Always fighting uphill, you're right. But it was the interception that Whitney Merciless had and the blocked field goal. Otherwise, you look at the game, it's a dead even game. Turnovers were the deciding factor.
Yeah. And as Boomer said, Houston reasserted itself on the hold of the AFC South lead with that victory. And we'd like to welcome those of you who watched the Patriots win it handily 34-13 over the Cincinnati Bengals. That Patriots victory clinches a playoff spot for them as they get it done. We welcome you back inside to the State Farm post-game show here with, of course, Phil, Coach Nate, and Boomer.
Let's get to these highlights. Houston, Texas, Tennessee Titans. Deshaun Watson, he found a matchup that he liked, and right here it was Kenny Stills. One-on-one, he runs the corner route. That is a touchdown. Score was 14-0 at that point, 14-7 right now. Ryan Tannehill saying, we are not done. He's taking his time. They only rushed 3. Give him the ability to come back to A.J. Brown, who has been balling out as of lately. Carlos Hyde, hesitation, very patient, picks where he wants to go, and he skates on in. He had 100-plus yards in a touchdown in this one. Kenny Stills had 2 touchdowns on the day. And like we said, the Houston Texans, they bounced back after that terrible loss last week.
And Nate, moments ago after that game, it was our own Tracy Wolfson who caught up with Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun, you knew that it wouldn't be easy, and you guys talked about trying to get that edge back in order to bounce back from the loss last week. Did you think that you found it today?
Most definitely. You know, we came in and to a tough environment with a hot team. Divisional game in December is always tough. It's always going to be back and forth. You're going to deal with adversity. That's the NFL. And so we overcame that. We stayed strong. We kept the edge. We kept running the ball. Threw it when we needed to. Outside of those 2 dumb picks by me, which Robert tightened up, we definitely played some good, smart football.
But still, you take the lead now in the AFC South, which is huge, and you're going to certainly meet this team again. But how can you take that confidence going forward?
Just keep rolling. Correct the mistakes, but keep this momentum going. Win is always good, no matter how you win it, especially against a divisional opponent. And, we just got to keep it going and keep getting better.
Appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
That's exactly what you want from a quarterback. Good, steady hand. Even though he threw a couple of interceptions, he's real. And everybody knows it. Take a look at the AFC playoff picture here. New England, by virtue of beating Cincinnati, assures themselves of a playoff spot. Remember, Buffalo and Pittsburgh still play tonight. Kansas City is beating Denver right now. Houston obviously has the lock on that number 4 seed. And remember, as Tracy pointed out, Week 17, it's going to be Tennessee at Houston.
You look at that game, you look at the Houston Texans, listen to Deshaun Watson. Houston's all in this year. Think about what all they've done. They went out and got Laramie Tunsil. They got 2 running backs, Carlos Hyde, too. Kenny Stills at wide receiver. He just got some 2 defensive backs. Right. Hargraves, just trying to get everything because it's like, hey, he's all in, and we're going to try to win this thing this year.
The one thing, they do meet in Week 17, but remember next week, you have the New Orleans Saints coming into Tennessee, and you have the Houston Texans heading to Tampa Bay. If Houston were to win and Tennessee were to lose, that could be nothing. Week 17 doesn't mean a thing.
Don't say that, Coach.
I'm just saying, there's still, it doesn't just go to Week 17. They got to take care of business next week for both of them, particularly the Tennessee Titans, to have a chance to get revenge next week.
And the guy that needs to take care of business, Deshaun Watson. Let's look at some of the plays from this game. Now, last week he didn't have the game that he wanted, but this game, despite having those 2 interceptions, here's the touchdowns right here. A corner route, very patient, knowing exactly where he wants to go. And if you look at his helmet, he was actually looking off the safety. He peeks to the other side. It gives him the room to throw that corner route to Kenny Stills and check him out. He's calm in the pocket. He knows where he wants to go. He's pointing, and then he's going to take off and use that athleticism. Get low, protect your body like we see with Lamar Jackson. And, of course, the play action. It works when the pass game is working, and he's going to get low. And right here, he hits D-hop. Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Running to your left, throwing to your right, cross field. You hit your receivers on the numbers. You know what I love about this? It's the 19 for 27. This is a passing league, right?
Yes.
Over the last few years, we've seen quarterbacks throw 40, 50 times. I think now with Lamar Jackson, the way he's controlling the game, Deshaun Watson, I'd rather see a quarterback throw it 25, 30 times and be more efficient than trying to light up the skies and force the ball downfield.
And make the key first down with your legs.
Yeah.
That's one thing that he did today. And a coach was saying, come on, run the ball, Deshaun. Exactly. Because as a coach, when you see an opening like that, just, get the first down and then let's play another set of downs.
So, fellas, what we're going to do now, we're going to take you out to watch the Giants as Eli Manning is playing in probably his last game, certainly in a Giants uniform. So let's go out and join the announcers at that one. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta, and Otis Livingston.
Yard mark. I thought he ran really well today. Didn't see the big, no 50-yard run, so a little bit below his standard, but I thought he really ran well. And I just think the Dolphins kind of ran out of steam a little bit.
The Giants are going to avoid what would have been the indignity of the longest losing streak in franchise history had they lost this game, but they do come out victorious on the right arm of Eli Manning. There's so much respect between Eli and Fitzpatrick. Actually got to know each other a couple of years ago when Fitzpatrick was the Jets starting quarterback here. Lived in the same town in northern New Jersey. Their kids got to know each other a little bit.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Fitzpatrick telling us last night just how much respect he has for the player and the career that Eli Manning has put together over the last 16 seasons.
Listen, having played this game, the respect, knowing what it takes to play this game and to do it for that many years, regardless of your position, gets nothing but respect. And the fact that, the career starts that Eli Manning had before, he sat down for that game last year, and the durability and the longevity, there's something to say about that, and it is extremely impressive.
And now we throw it downstairs. Otis standing by with Eli Manning.
Eli, can you put into words what this day has meant, especially that rousing ovation you got coming off the field?
Well, it's just good to get a win. You know, it's been a long stretch and a lot of ups and downs, but to come out and the team to come together and get a win, that's the most important. And obviously, these great fans, they were cheering all day from the first snap until the end, and I appreciate them always.
You always talked about getting a win for your teammates. They wanted to get it for you. What's the celebration going to be like in the locker room?
Yeah, it's going to be good. You know, there's not a better feeling in football as in a locker room after a win. And no matter the circumstances or the season you're having, it still feels good always. And so we'll enjoy it. We'll celebrate it. You celebrate every win because they're hard to come by. And this is a good one.
You've had quite a career here, Hall of Fame career to me. What do these fans mean to you in this organization?
It's been great. They've been wonderful, and you know, glad to give them a couple Super Bowls to cheer on, and you know, appreciate them all these years just supporting me, having our back, and appreciate them coming out today and cheering us on, helping us get this win.
All right, thanks a lot, Eli.
All right, Otis, thank you so much. And you know what? You heard Eli there, the epitome of class again. He said no matter how difficult, Bill, that he gave it his best, and he appreciated the fans showing their love as well.
You know, as I sit here in New York and, you know, just watch what the last 4 or 5 years have been like, we can all sit here and critique his play on the field, but I'll tell you one thing you'll never question is his commitment to his football team. He's always been there for him. He's given everything he's had. He has brought 2 championships to this city. He handles himself with class, with dignity. He's the consummate pro. So, like I said, we can all sit here and critique his play on the field, but this guy as an individual and what he stands for in the National Football League, he's one of the finest that's ever stepped on the field.
You know, people will bring up his record, you know, as we watch him walk into the locker room with his family. A beautiful scene right there. As a wide receiver, I can care less about his record. And to be honest, I can care less about his Super Bowl rings. One thing I paid attention to when I used to listen to Eli after games is how he would accept praise and if he would shift the blame whenever things went wrong. And every single time without fail, when they wanted to give him praise, he pointed the finger to everybody else in that locker room. And when the media wanted to rip the coaches, wanted to rip the players, when receivers were dropping balls, the game plan was bad, Eli stood up there and said, I got to be better. And I always thought to myself, if there's a quarterback lesson one-on-one on how to handle being a professional athlete, consummate pro, Eli is at the top of my list because every single time he handled it the right way.
Well, he was taught by his father, learned from Peyton a little bit, that, you know, the quarterback is out there and you do what? You take the blame, and then when there's a good comes along, you deflect it to everybody else and say how great they are. And Eli, it's unbelievable. For 16 years here in New York. Now, Boomer, I don't know how many times you stuck your foot in your mouth, but I did it many times where you make headlines. Yeah, don't look like you never did. You did. But, you know, for him to do it for 16 years, and really never cause a controversy, really good. That was a genuine smile by him after the game, happiness, all that. What an emotional day. Archie Manning, you know, he had some conversations with him, but you could see him in the booth, how emotional it is just for the whole Manning family, knowing that this might be over.
Well, it's like the first family of football. I get it. You know, so I started a radio show here in New York back in 2007. And in the middle of that season, Giant fans wanted Eli Manning out of here. They wanted Tom Coughlin fired. And all they did at the end of that season was go on and beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden, the legend was begun, I believe, right then and there.
Yeah.
Never have I mentioned another player's name in any other sport more than I have mentioned Eli Manning's on that radio show, simply because he elicits a reaction.
Yeah.
Most of the reaction is exactly the reaction that you guys had and what we all would have, that he's a gentleman and that he represents the New York Giants with the class and dignity that a fan would want them to have. It's hard to say goodbye to somebody like that. They said goodbye to Phil. Well, they actually kicked Phil out of the door, but it's really hard to say goodbye to guys like this that brought so many great memories. So I'm glad he got a win. The other good news for the Giants is that the Redskins ended up losing. So, you know, that's actually, I think it's a good day for the Giants all the way around.
You know, I think, again, when you look at it, I think what you saw, when we're sitting there seeing Eli or Peyton when he sat there and played the Super Bowl, you just saw a guy just played his last game.
Yeah.
This will be his last year. I don't think there's any question about it.
And dealt with it, as all of you have said, in essence, with class. The State Farm postgame show continues after this.
This is the State Farm postgame show.
And And hello again, everyone, and welcome to the State Farm post-game show. And a reminder, coming up next here on CBS Sports, it's the CBS Sports Spectacular, features Major League Fishing's 2019 Bass Pro Tour. I think Boomer's pretty good at that, is he not? Oh, yeah. Relive all the best and most intense moments of this year's competitions, including highlights and interviews with some of the world's best anglers. Wow. He's smiling about Nate. That all comes your way next, right here on CBS. Back inside of Studio 43, full house here with my guys, and we get right back to the highlights.
Well, Bill Belichick said we're on to Cincinnati. Well, he's in Cincinnati right now, getting ready to play against Cincinnati Bengals. I wonder if he brought the videotapes with him or not. Tom Brady's going to throw a touchdown pass here to James White. They'll take a 7-0 lead. James White's been doing this for years for the Patriots out of the backfield. How about this pass? Tom Brady has a ton of time in the pocket. This time, he's going to find N'Keal Harry for a 7-yard TD. Now, Brady is in second place all-time on the NFL's all-time pass list. He's right behind Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, 539. Tom Brady, 538. Andy Dalton had 4 interceptions today. This one, Stephon Gilmore returns back for a 64-yard touchdown. Pats go on to win 34-13 over the Bengals. Pats have secured a playoff berth in the AFC.
And after the game, it was our Amanda Balionis catching up with Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon, your defense does it again. 5 turnovers, 4 picks. You had 2 of those, including a pick 6. What is it about this defense that just allows you guys to have no quit?
You know, it's all 11 guys. It's not perfect every time, but we keep fighting. We figure out the offense across from us, the plays that they do get on us, and we execute, and we make them pay for the mistakes they make.
Things don't have to be perfect, though, for them to work. Tom Brady has talked about that, how you guys just have to evolve week in and week out. After 2 losses, you guys come back, you clinch a spot in the playoffs for the 11th consecutive time. What does this one mean?
It means a lot. You know, we lost 2. We just wanted to get back on track. You know, Cincinnati, they got a good football team. They got a lot of great players, and we knew it was going to be tough, but we stuck it out at the end.
All right, congratulations. Go celebrate this win.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
As Kansas City hosted the Denver Broncos today, Patrick Mahomes loves throwing footballs and snowballs. He's having a great time. He's 24 years old.
Oh, just a kid playing in the snow.
Exactly. And then doing what he does better than anybody, and that's throwing the snow. As Phil said at halftime, he's weatherproof. Right there goes Tyreek Hill. He goes running out of the end zone, and then he goes running out of the stadium. But he got back in because Patrick's going to find him again. He's going to roll to his right. He's going to find Tyreek Hill for the 2nd touchdown of the day. Patrick was 27-34, 342 touchdowns. They go on to win.
I think Denver thought it was a snow day because they didn't show up.
And as Boomer and Nate said, a kid having fun in the snow. Well, it was our Evan Washburn catching up with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, Patrick, from warm-ups, when you were doing slides there in the end zone, you seemed to embrace the conditions here. What was it like to play in it?
Yeah, it was fun, a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, the guys enjoyed it. We knew it was going to happen. We knew we were going to have snow. Coach Reed prepares us well by making us practice outside pretty much every single day, and so we just embraced it and found a way to get a win.
What were the priorities from your end? Obviously, arm strength is something we know. To be able to still be effective in the passing game, you only nearly went for 400 yards.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just trusting my guys to run their routes. I mean, with all these conditions, they had the right cleats, the right stuff, kept the feet underneath them, and they were getting open, and so it made it easy for me to kind of just give them the ball and let them make plays.
You said a lot of nice things about Travis Kelce. He had another fantastic day. What kind of luxury is he for you, especially in a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of luxuries out there. I have a lot of guys that can make plays, and Travis is one of those main guys that can get open no matter what coverage they're giving us, and he understands the coverages. He understands what we're doing, and I mean, he had a great game, and I'm glad we can kind of get this momentum and moving forward.
You guys look like kids out there again. Enjoy this one.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And here's a huge AFC South matchup with playoff implications. Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Deshaun Watson dropping back. Kenny Stills, or I like to call Kenny Skills. He's showing them off right there. That's a touchdown. Score 14-7 at this point. Ryan Tannehill dropping back, taking his time. Who was he looking for? A.J. Brown. He gets in for the touchdown. That's 14-14 at this point. And here it is, Carlos Hyde and go seek a touchdown. That is a TD for him. He had 100 yards and a TD in this game. Now, even though the Tennessee Titans made it close towards the end, it seems like the Houston Texans were in control of this game from the very start. They win this one 24-21. And here's the AFC playoff picture as things start to shake out midpoint of December, guys. And Baltimore still at the top. New England, of course, they get the dub today. Kansas City, they wrap it up. But we're still looking at that wild card spot. Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach.
Yeah, Buffalo and Pittsburgh, they play tonight. Again, for Pittsburgh Steelers, controlling their own destiny, but they have no room to really air here. And again, we're talking about that AFC South. The win today puts Houston in the driver's seat. Again, they also have to play at Tampa Bay next week because one of the hottest teams in the National Football League.
They throw it?
Tennessee has New Orleans at home, still have playoff implications for them.
And then the following week, they meet again.
Play each other again, this time in Houston on that turf. So, there's lots still to be determined.
Right. For me, Kansas City starting to round into shape. That was a pretty good defensive effort by the Kansas City Chiefs. You could see Patrick Mahomes was having a lot of fun today. So was everybody else on that offense. It's amazing to me, Phil, when I watch him play, he plays with such ease. And it's almost like careless, but yet carefree, And he's got such a strong arm and the ability to put the ball wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and however he wants. Well, we don't usually see guys like this year.
No, listen, it's great to have fun when you're really good. You ever know, oh, he plays with such joy. Yeah, because he's the best guy in the field. I would play with joy too if it was that easy. He does make it look easy. Couple things about him. He takes the deepest drop I've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, he's back there 11 and 12 yards. You get free. He just floats around, makes throws. And they got so many good weapons that all of a sudden Travis Kelce is the man. Early in the year, I thought Travis Kelce is getting lost here somewhere. And also the big thing about Kansas City, too, their defensive line is the key to me for them making this playoff run. They are big. They got some talent. And Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, is not afraid. They're doing more stuff. And they're catching on to it on the defensive side.
They get better as the season goes on, as you referenced with Steve Spagnuolo. And the one thing about Travis Kelce, 4 consecutive years of 1,000 yards in receptions. That's elite company. You're talking about tight ends. And you're talking about a team with speed, with Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. But yet that guy, Travis Kelce, is the one guy that's constant there and the one guy that, as you can see right now, Patrick Mahomes appreciates.
We sat here and we watched all these games today on a scale of 1 to 5. How worried are you about the New England Patriot offense?
Yeah, of course we're worried, but this is a little bit of a get-right game, right? They're trying to figure things out.
If they didn't work, it didn't get right.
But on the defensive side of the ball, that's where I was getting to,
be
guys.
Patient and listen to me, right?
Be patient. Stephon Gilmore doing what he does is a true shot. This right here is your all-pro cornerback. I want you to pay attention to his patience. I mean, he does everything right in his hand placement.
How do you get away from him?
You can't, because he's going to wait for you to come to him. And then on top of that, he knows where the route schemes are, so he can jump underneath most things. But he's also trusting where the safety help is. And right here, looking at the quarterback, Andy Dalton letting it go, and he trusts his instincts, and he just flies right underneath that out route. I don't know if he's the fastest guy on the field or the most athletic, but he for sure is the smartest, because when he jumps on routes, it's not him trusting his gut. It's trusting what he saw on film the week before, and that's what makes him and also the guys around him so good.
And Stephon Gilmore, if you watch that great shot we got from the eye vision, this team plays more zero coverage. In other words, they take their safeties and they bring them up, they blitz them.
How much trust do you have to have with your
You better have
defenders?
trust in your corners.
Yep.
They got great corners. And if there's one thing I would do and tell a corner, if I see zero coverage, I am not going after Stephon Gilmore.
I don't get it.
I mean, why are you throwing it over there? I just go anywhere. I know where he's at, and I'm working this side of the field. So, I mean, honestly, they play a lot of zero coverages. It's so kind of unique because Bill Belichick, again, it's like, okay, zone, zero coverage, zero coverage. I talk about no help. It opens up big play potential, but they have secondary that they can play that.
So let me ask, what's New England's record right now?
11
and 3. So it seems to me, no matter the chinks in the armor with them, they find some way to get it done. I don't care how ugly, they are still a contender, and they've clinched yet another postseason.
Yeah, they got it done today. They got 4 turnovers. We saw why. Stephon Gilmore just has that knack to be able to bend and do whatever it takes to be in position. Probably the best free agent signing Bill Belichick has ever made. It changed their defense. But, Nate, to go back real quick, that New England offense, you must be worried about the offensive line, by receivers, a lot of things going on.
But is this the most scrutinized 11-3 offense of all times? This is the Patriots.
The last 4 weeks it has been.
Yeah, of course.
The last 4 weeks.
Let me ask you guys this.
Teams and good defense.
Will you bet against them come playoff time? You can say whatever you want right now, but come playoffs, I guarantee you not betting a house on the field, not that big compound you got in Franklin.
But I will say this: have they ever been more vulnerable? Have you ever?
No, you're right.
They are as vulnerable as you can. You look at them right now. You're not. It's not the mystique. It does not exist. But you're right. They're going to play at home. They're going to play in New England. Tom Brady, any given day, they are not going to beat themselves. But yes, they got a defense that can play top notch, but they have issues.
The best coaching staff.
What team is going to go into Baltimore and beat the Baltimore Ravens? That's the question that you have to answer. I don't think it's going to be New England. Kansas City, maybe, because I think they can score some points, and Tyreek Hill is going to be a pain in the neck for anybody to cover.
We just got the word that we're going to do our show next week out of the compound.
Oh, no, yeah,
nice.
Yeah, good.
That will be done. There is more to come.
I'll treat you well.
On the State Farm postgame show. After this, we'll talk about more of the Sims match.
You'll love my garage.
College hoops season heats up for the holidays with 4 legendary schools squaring off in Las Vegas at the CBS Sports Classic Saturday beginning at 3 Eastern right here on CBS as we welcome you back to Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show and right back to the highlights.
Yeah, big NFC North matchup, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and you're going to see right here Aaron Rodgers going to find Devontae Adams for this 29-yard touchdown, and then Aaron Jones is going to take this thing from 21 yards out, give them a touchdown right there. He had 2 rushing touchdowns on a day. But how about this? Down by 8 points. Last play of the game. 3rd down. Take it. Okay, now here we go. Let it all develop right in front of your eyes. There's nothing scripted here, people. It's a lot of things about spacing. It's about options. It's about keeping things alive. And almost get into the end zone.
Wow.
Oh, so close.
They had a shot.
So far.
Don't ever give the ball to a fullback like that. That was a 200th meeting between those two squads, the longest rivalry in the NFL.
Oh, that was good right there.
Had it.
Wasn't scripted at all. I could tell by the way you're reading that highlight, coach. All right, Seattle Seahawks, Carolina Panthers, Russell Wilson. He is DK Metcalf back in the end zone. I'll tell you what, that young fella's starting to make some plays here. Russell Wilson, he's looking for his other playmaker, Tyler Lockett, who had 120 on the day in that touchdown right there.
Anybody cover him?
And nobody covers him. Boom, he's always going to get in the end zone. And there's Chris Carson. He gets in the end zone. Tough running style. He had 2 TDs and over 100 yards. The Seahawks, 11-3. They're rolling. They get a win, 30-24.
Here we go. Philadelphia at Washington. Doug Peterson and the Eagles trying to stay in contention for the lead in the NFC East. First play, we're going to see Carson Wentz is strip sacked by Ryan Anderson. Jerron Payne recovers the loose football. This leads to a field goal for the Washington Redskins that put them up 27-24. Then Carson Wentz passes to the end zone to Greg Ward for a 4-yard touchdown.
Wow, nice.
Play that put Philadelphia up 31-27. Then the last play of the game, Dwayne Haskins tries to lateral the football.
Oh, man.
Nigel Bradham picks it up, scoops it up, and runs all the way back 47 yards for a touchdown to end the game 37-27. Philadelphia Eagles win a game that they needed.
Boy, did they need that. But I'll tell you what, Dwayne Haskins played pretty well today.
Getting better.
He's getting better each and every week. And take a look at the NFC playoff picture right here. You can see Philadelphia right now in the 4th spot, depending on what goes on between the Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. The Rams need this game in the worst way to stay in the wild card hunt. Minnesota obviously playing at the LA Chargers today. And Green Bay stays in the number 2 spot by virtue of beating Chicago today at 11-3.
Green Bay makes every game exciting. Oh, they're on top. There they were again today. You think, oh, they're going to dominate. And whatever, they get out to good leads, but they just try to hang on. They hung on today, but it was tight.
They hang on, but, you know, Phil, they're in control of their own destiny. Can you imagine the Green Bay Packers? We keep talking about the NFC, talk about San Francisco, we talk about Seattle, we talk about the New Orleans Saints. But all of a sudden, the Green Bay Packers, yeah, well, it's Green Bay. They could get a bye, play a home game, and be playing for an NFC championship game. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind taking Aaron Rodgers with one game to win, to go to a championship. So I'll tell you what, right now they got to go on the road next 2 weeks. We can see if they can hold on to that number 2 spot.
You're right, Coach. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, there isn't. It's just Green Bay because Aaron Rodgers, these moments, you know he's clutch, and if he gets to the playoffs, he's as dangerous as anybody. But you mentioned the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. That NFC West is so interesting because depending on what happens the last couple weeks of the season, it can change everything. And we know how difficult it is to play in Seattle, especially in the playoffs.
And now, you know, the other end of the spectrum is the draft. The Bengals now are 1-13. They have a lock on the number 1 pick. But the Giants, Redskins, and Miami, me, are all 3-11. But depending on strength of schedule, the Giants still have the number 2 pick in the draft. This game between the Giants and the Redskins next week will determine where Chase Young goes, the very talented defensive end from Ohio State, I believe.
Because you already have Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow's going to the Bengals.
You drafted Joe Burrow earlier. You gave him
the other thing, though, we talk about the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, they could go on the road and win one game. I know this. If I was a Green Bay Packer, and I think players think like this, and coaches, Bill, you can answer this, but they're going, man, we don't want to go to San Francisco.
No.
That's the one place you don't want to go because that is a terrible matchup in my eyes for the Green Bay Packers.
As much as you guys know football, play sage. Who's going to win the NFC East?
Wow.
Boom. I'm going to say the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Wow.
Cowboys, too.
I'll go with Cowboys as well. I'll go with Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas
They're too talented.
next week.
Next
Dallas at Philly next week.
Yes.
Dallas is the more talented team.
Healthier team.
But you know what? The Philadelphia Eagles are playing with grit and determination. They don't have the talent right now. They shouldn't even be on the same field. But there's something the way they're playing. Carson Wentz is trying to put this team on his back, literally, with no receiving crew. These are guys coming up off the practice squad. They're playing hard on defense. They got running backs that are coming in right now, Miles Sanders. I mean, yes, the talented Dallas Cowboys. Let's see how they play today against Los Angeles.
Well, the question was, who do you think is going to win the NFC East?
He likes Philly.
I like the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
I'm going to go with grit. I'm going to go with grit and determination.
I agree with you. That's how they're winning, strictly by grit and all that. It shows Carson Wentz is playing as hard as he's doing everything.
Everything he can do,
Yes,
right?
he can. But there's still a couple things. One, no receiving threats down the field.
None.
And they don't cover very well. Those are two things I think.
Two minor
really
details.
Two
minor details.
Yeah,
hey, grit.
Hey, it's about a year, Phil.
No, it is.
I will say this.
Got to be able to run a little bit too.
These last few weeks are going to come down to the coaches, of course, you know, Peterson and Garrett. We're also going to name the players as guys that need to step up, Wentz and Dak Prescott, of course. Here's one X factor that we're not talking about. The last few weeks, will these moments be too big for Kellen Moore, the first-time offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys? Or will he rise to the occasion? Because a lot of this is going to come down to play calling and how well he can utilize the talent on that offense. Because if he comes in with a very basic vanilla offense for the last few weeks, then this is going to head in the opposite direction for the Dallas Cowboys.
I'll give you a good example. Last week, what did we see down in New Orleans with San Francisco and them playing? We saw two teams that had Super Bowl game plans ready to go, and they used them. Kellen Moore needs to get a little more of that. We got the plays. Now we need some of those other little things to give us momentum and help us out.
Life for the coaching staff hasn't been made easy by the public performance appraisal after each game by ownership.
But we haven't seen any signs of that. I mean, have we seen any signs of this team kind of thinking outside the box, being creative? Just being, and so, you know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If there was a game on the line and somebody had to kick a game-winning field goal, who's going to do it?
For whom?
More silence.
For either one of these teams, Dallas or Philadelphia. Okay. Which one? Who's going to, Dallas just changed their kicker, right?
Yeah, you might as well throw a Hail Mary.
Well, answer the question. What do you think?
I'm going with Dallas. I'm just taking Dallas.
Hey, you know what? There was a time that Bill Cowher was untouchable. I understand you two guys getting on this case. Yeah. But Nate challenging you now. I think Kay, Schrags, and Kyle have asked you to challenge Bill Cowher.
People don't see how he acts off camera, man. He's the worst winner of all time.
A sore winner.
Oh,
hey,
he's one to talk.
Show. After Nate and Coach go at it, the State Farm postgame show will continue after this.
Yes.
And welcome back to the State Farm postgame show as we get set for the next show coming from Phil's house. He's got the highlights. Miami at the New York Giants.
I'll feed you well. Don't you worry, DB. Eli Manning, here he is, playing could be his last start at Giant Stadium. This time he drops back, hits Darius Slayton in the back of the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown. Giants were leading 14-10. Then, after this touchdown, hands the football off to Saquon Barkley inside, bounce it outside, got the speed. Where's that? And he runs for a 10-yard touchdown. Giants over the Miami Dolphins today, 30-13. Eli Manning, 20 of 28, 283, 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But you know what? He is smiling right now, and he does not care because he won the game, made some good throws, and Eli's got to be happy. Just listen to that. crowd yelling for him.
And an emotional day for sure.
Just an emotional day for him. You see all the players, his family was there, the fans and everything. Great day for Eli.
It was a great day, Phil, and I think when you look at him, you can just tell that this might be the last time that he did start a game here in MetLife Stadium. And just the memories, you can just see his kids coming down and seeing this. I think that speaks volumes about where he is in his career. And, you know, and happy for him, man, to go out there for a win.
Very much.
Yeah, you know, I love seeing that, but this is a small detail, but the fact he gets to 500 is good for the rest of his narrative, because even when he gets into the Hall of Fame, they'll say, well, he was below 500 if he didn't win this game today.
Well, here is the good Eli from today. You can see he still has it, still has the arm strength and everything. I can't imagine him playing next year in another uniform. Can you guys? No. I just don't see that happen. I see kind of like riding off into the win, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, an incredible career, a long career. Remember, you know, he didn't miss any games due to injury. No. He got sat down twice. And, you know, there's something to be said about resiliency and dealing with adversity. And for the first 3 years of his career, that's what he had to deal with, and he never got hurt. And the Giant fan that went to the game or went to watch the game on Sunday knew that he was going to be there.
You know, Eli Manning, that should put you in the Hall of Fame itself, being a quarterback that never really missed the start because you're hurt. But look, he lives up here. His family's grown up here. That's why I don't think Eli Manning will ever leave here and go play somewhere else.
One of class of 2004, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning.
Yeah, not bad.
Hall of Famers.
And the State Farm postgame show will continue after this.
This is the State Farm postgame show.
I'm so disappointed in you, Coach.
And welcome back to Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show. As you can hear, the frivolity continues. Hey, folks, we'll be back with more football next Sunday as the playoff picture continues to come into focus. Regional action in Week 18 highlighted by the Ravens taking on the Browns and the Steelers at the Jets. And it all begins with the NFL today at noon Eastern right here on CBS. And speaking of the Steelers right now, we have our NFL Today insider Jason Lockenford with an update on the Steelers.
Well, we already, well, thanks. I said welcome. You welcome me, I'm welcoming you.
There you go.
We knew Juju's out tonight, but he aggravated that knee last week. Talking to some people in that organization, they already feel like next week might be a stretch. More realistic, Week 17 for that grudge match against the Ravens for him. A few weeks ago, I reported about Ryan Tannehill and the Titans thinking about a franchise tag for him, and that's where that's headed. Well, I can tell you, Jameis Winston's playing himself into the same situation, guys. Talking to people in that organization and around the league, the GM there, Jason Light, really wants that to work. Bruce Arians, at this stage of his career, they're going to draft a quarterback in the second round and break somebody else in. Jameis, he's led them to 4 straight wins, back-to-back 450-yard games.
Back-to-back 450-yard games.
10 300-yard games.
And we're questioning Jameis Winston.
A lot of picks, Coach. A lot of picks. But when you start, like you guys, Eli's probably retiring, right? This is the end for Joe Flacco. Right. Are they going to trade for a Cam Newton? As they're assessing their situation in Tampa Bay, Jameis has got him back to 500, and I think Jameis is going to be there next year.
Phil Simms has the best line. He says, Jameis likes to start a fire, and then
he's a fireman, and he tries to put it out. And he does a really good job of it. I'll say that.
He's going to have a lot of money to throw at those fires. I know that much.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's it. Boomer, you're going to say goodbye lovingly to Jason?
Bye, Jason. Can you reach my chair? Am I safe?
And the State Farm postgame show will continue after this. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes of the man who was saving music written by prisoners during the Holocaust, followed by the Kennedy Center Honors and NCIS Los Angeles. That's tonight only on CBS. I think we can get through this last segment, okay? So we'll start with final thoughts on the day from you, Boomer, and take your time.
Right. I thought this was a huge win for Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans, bouncing back from last week's embarrassment at the hands of the Denver Broncos. And plus, in 2 weeks, they're going to play the Tennessee Titans at home. This was a great opportunity for Ryan Tannehill to continue his stellar play. He played well today. It wasn't his fault that they lost. Right. It was just that one interception that he hits his receiver right in his hands, and just the deflection turns into an interception, changes the whole game. But, you know, he'll still have a couple games here to go back and see if he can lead them to the AFC South title.
You know, as we're looking at the playoff picture, I know that top spot in the NFC West can be a little bit misleading when it's the Seattle Seahawks sitting on the outside in the wild card spot, but their win today, it just, further convinced me that Russell Wilson has control. I know he had a little bit of a dip a couple of weeks ago. We took him out of the MVP conversation because Lamar was playing so well. But Tyler Lockett getting in the end zone. Chris Carson, 2 touchdowns on the day. Josh Gordon caught a pass today, and that defense is playing well. I'm just saying, watch out for the Seattle Seahawks.
And the Green Bay Packers, I know they're not winning pretty, not the way we used to see them, but the Green Bay Packers still, they got to go to Minnesota next week. They took care of business today, divisional opponent. So you kind of throw the records out the window when you talk about that. So they beat the Chicago Bears today. What had to do to beat them. Big game for them next week in Minnesota.
It's just amazing looking, especially at the NFC, all the teams here in the next 2 weeks after this games are over this weekend, that what can happen. You can be the 1, the 5, you're seeding. And we know matchups mean everything when it comes to playoffs, at least. I think they do. But a couple of things jumped out to me today. Kansas City defense, once again, they impressed me. New England's offense, once again, I thought really struggled, had a hard time. Great day for Eli Manning, that's for sure. To go out there, if it was his last game of starting at Giant Stadium, good for him.
Instant update from one Nate Burleson.
That's right, JB. We have Phillip Rivers. Who is he looking for? The big fella. Mike Williams. He throws it helmet or higher. It's where you're supposed to put it. He comes down with the catch. And right now, the Chargers, they lead 10-9. At this point, when it comes to touchdown scored in any game played, there's implications in other games. Right now, the Dallas Ram game, that's at 0. But if the Minnesota Vikings can hold on to this, or if they lose this game, the Rams are peeking at it, trying to get into the playoffs.
I heard what Nate had to say about Seattle, and but for the show-stopping performances of Lamar Jackson, certainly Russell Wilson has to get some recognition.
Oh, he will. He will. 100%.
Oh, no, I hear you.
He's playing great. I just think that at this point, 2 games left in the season for the most of the teams, that Lamar Jackson has taken everybody's breath away. I mean, the last 4 or 5 games, he's been incredible. He's been exciting. He's been everything that, you would want your MVP to be. What would they be without him? That's what you have to ask yourself.
Watching that game the other night, they were flat to play the game against the Jets. But, you can't be flat because you know why? Lamar Jackson makes plays, and the players get excited. The fans got into the game, and then they kind of rolled the Jets. But otherwise, I think they could have, it could have been a tight game.
Despite the challenges you all give to our Super Bowl winning coach, you get the final 10 seconds.
Oh,
Where's your right, coach?
I deferred right here.
Did you really?
What is going on? You're all right.
Hey, folks, it'll be from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. I believe that's what you call it. From the home of one Phil Simms. We'll see you next Sunday.